You think her past doesn't matter, her body count, her exes, her trauma. Think again, because what she did before you will absolutely shape what she does to you. And the sooner you accept this uncomfortable truth, the less pain you'll carry into your future. Since we were boys, we've been told a comforting lie. Teachers, influencers, even dating coaches repeat it like gospel. Don't judge a woman by her past. Only care about who she is today. But here's the brutal reality. Her past is not separate from her present. Her past is her present. Every lover, every breakup, every toxic relationship, every late-night decision she made in the haze of tequila and regret. Those experiences rewired her brain, reshaped her psychology, and recalibrated her expectations of men. And pretending it doesn't matter. That's how men walk straight into the slaughterhouse of modern relationships. Pair bonding, the ability to deeply connect, trust, and stay loyal to one person, isn't some abstract romantic concept. It's biological, it's chemical, and like any mechanism, it can wear down over time. Research from the Institute for Family Studies shows that women with more sexual partners before marriage are significantly more likely to divorce. Women with 10+ partners have divorce rates over 80% higher than women with only one partner. Why? Because oxytocin, the bonding hormone released during sex, doesn't fire the same way the 20th time as it did the first. The more men she's been with, the harder it is for her body and brain to fully attach to you. It's like trying to tape two pieces of paper together, ripping them apart, then taping again, over and over. Eventually, the tape doesn't stick. So when society tells you body count doesn't matter, they're not protecting women, they're disarming men. But it's not just hormones, it's psychology. A woman's past relationships shape her frame of reference. Every man before you is a benchmark. You're compared in bed, in status, in how you make her feel. Ever notice how an ex suddenly gets mentioned during an argument? That's not an accident. That's her past intruding into your present. And here's the kicker: trauma compounds. If she's been cheated on, she projects paranoia onto you. If she dated a bad boy, she'll secretly crave the chaos, even while claiming she wants stability. You inherit all her scars and then get blamed for reopening them. This isn't about shaming women, it's about equipping men with the truth. Because the guy who walks into a relationship blind to her past is the guy who ends up blindsided by her future. Here's the myth modern men swallow. Experience makes her better. They'll tell you she knows what she wants now, that she's more mature because she's lived a little. Let me hit you with reality. The more partners she's had, the harder it is for her to bond with anyone. Not easier, harder. Every time a woman has sex, her brain floods with oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical that bonds mothers to their newborns. It builds attachment, trust, loyalty. But here's the catch. Oxytocin dulls with repetition. The more times she attaches, then detaches, the weaker that attachment system becomes. Studies published in the Journal of Sex Research have shown that women with higher numbers of sexual partners report lower relationship satisfaction and higher rates of infidelity. Why? Because her neural wiring for pair bonding has been stretched thin, and eventually it snaps. It's like running a copier. The first print is sharp. By the 50th, the image is blurry. By the 200th, you can barely recognize the original. That's what happens to her ability to deeply attach. It doesn't stop with oxytocin. There's dopamine, the pleasure chemical. Every new lover floods her system with novelty. The problem? Dopamine works like a drug. The more she chases novelty, the more her baseline rises. She needs more to feel the same thrill. That's why she gets bored fast. Why stable feels like boring. Why she craves chaos, drama, or the mystery guy, even when she says she wants security. Her brain has been trained for short bursts of intensity, not long-term consistency. Society will tell you, Don't date virgins. They're inexperienced. You need a woman who's lived life, who knows herself. What they don't tell you is this, that experience often comes at the cost of loyalty. It's not just about sex, it's about memory. Every man she let inside her left an imprint, not just on her body, but on her psyche. She remembers the high. She remembers the chaos. She remembers the thrill of being chased. And when you, the man who's supposed to be her future, don't replicate that exact cocktail of chemicals and emotions, she starts asking herself the question every man dreads. Did I settle? This is why men get blindsided. You think her wild years don't matter. You think you're building fresh, but you're not. You're competing with ghosts. Ghosts of exes, ghosts of hookups, ghosts of every dopamine spike that made her feel alive before you. And here's the harsh truth. You can't outcompete her past. You can only decide if you want to carry it. You don't just date her, you date her past. Every man she's ever slept with, cried over, or been betrayed by. They're in the room with you, whether you like it or not. And when the honeymoon phase fades, that baggage doesn't stay zipped up. It explodes right in your lap. If she's been cheated on, guess who gets interrogated every time you get a late-night text? If she dated a narcissist, suddenly your confidence feels controlling. If she was used for sex, now your desire feels selfish. You pay for what he did. You inherit the punishment for his crimes. Psychologists call this projection, when someone pastes old wounds onto new people. But in relationships, projection isn't an academic theory. It's a ticking time bomb. Here's the harshest truth. Women compare, always. And the more men in her past, the longer the list of ghosts standing in your way. If her ex made more money, you'll feel the sting in subtle comments about ambition. If he had more edge, you'll hear it when she sighs about you being too safe. If the sex was crazier, you'll notice when she withdraws, even if she never says why. It's death by 1,000 comparisons. And you can't win, because you're not fighting flesh and blood, you're fighting memory. Here's what most men don't understand. Trauma doesn't reset with every new relationship. It compounds. Think of it like debt. A little isn't catastrophic. But stack debt on debt, relationship after relationship, and eventually the interest breaks her. And when she breaks, guess who's expected to be the savior? You, except you're not saving her. You're bleeding out to cover loans someone else took out. A 2016 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that individuals with more previous partners report lower trust and more jealousy in their current relationships. Translation: the more men in her past, the less peace you'll have in your present. And yet society gaslights you. Don't be insecure. Real men don't care about her past wrong. Real men care because real men understand patterns. And patterns don't lie. This is the math. Her unresolved issues become your daily battles. Her baggage becomes your burden. Her trauma becomes your test. And most men fail that test, not because they're weak, but because the deck was stacked against them before they even walked into the room. Let's address the most controversial question in modern dating. Does body count matter? Every time this comes up, you'll see the same tired responses. Only insecure men care. It doesn't change who she is today. A woman's value isn't in her sexual history. And if you push back, you're a misogynist. You're shamed into silence. But here's the truth most men feel but can't say. Body count isn't about morality. It's about psychology. Think of it like tape. The first time you peel two pieces apart, the glue is strong. Do it 10 times, it weakens. Do it 50, it barely sticks. That's not judgment, that's physics. And pair bonding works the same way. The more men she's been with, the harder it is for her to emotionally glue to you. This is why studies consistently show that women with higher numbers of premarital partners have dramatically higher divorce rates. Not because they're bad people, but because their brains have been trained for novelty, not stability. Society will tell you she's experienced now, she knows what she wants. Wrong. She doesn't know what she wants. She only knows what she's lost. Every man in her past sets a new benchmark. One made her laugh more, one gave her crazier sex, one had more money, another had more edge. Now, instead of bonding with you, she's constantly running a silent comparison game, and you don't even know you're competing, because the man you're competing with isn't in the room. He's in her memory. This isn't about calling her used or dirty. That's moralizing. And morality doesn't hit men where it hurts. This is about impact, about outcomes, about how her choices don't just affect her, they affect you. Because when her bond to you is weaker, your risk is higher. Higher risk of infidelity, higher risk of emotional withdrawal, higher risk of divorce, custody battles, and financial ruin. You're not judging her past because you hate women. You're judging her past because you care about your future. Men are told they should overlook body count because love conquers all. But biology doesn't care about your romantic ideals. Psychology doesn't bend to slogans. Every choice she made with every man before you has left an imprint. And if she's racked up partners like a resume, those imprints don't vanish when she's with you. They show up in her expectations, in her boredom, in her wandering eye. Not because she's evil, but because her brain has been rewired for endless options. Here's the part no one warns you about. When you ignore her past, you don't just risk heartbreak. You risk your money, your mind, and your mission. Let's start with the obvious. Divorce. According to the American Sociological Association, women initiate nearly 70% of divorces in the West. And when those divorces happen, men are often left with the bill: alimony, child support, legal fees, half your assets gone overnight. If she's walked away from men before, what makes you think she won't walk away from you once it feels convenient? Her past patterns become your financial nightmare. And courts don't care about who was at fault. They care about payouts. One bad decision in choosing a partner can cost you decades of work. But the money isn't even the worst part. It's your mind. When you're with a woman carrying unresolved baggage, you become her therapist, her punching bag, her emotional crutch. At first you think, I can help her heal. I can be different, but you can't heal wounds you didn't cause. And trying will slowly break you. Constant suspicion, constant arguments, constant pressure to be the perfect man. A man who competes with every ghost in her past. Over time, it eats away at your confidence. You start questioning yourself. You start doubting your worth. That's how strong men become hollow shells, drained by the weight of someone else's history. Here's the most dangerous cost: distraction. Men are designed for mission, for building, for conquering. That's where fulfillment comes from. But when you're stuck in a toxic cycle with a woman whose past is still alive in your present, you abandon your mission. You stop chasing your goals and start chasing her approval. You stop leading and start explaining. You stop living for your future and start drowning in her past. And a man without a mission isn't a man. He's just a passenger in his own life. This is why caring about her past isn't about insecurity. It's about self-preservation. Ignoring reality doesn't make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. And if you refuse to see the patterns, you'll pay the price. In your bank account, your mental health, and your lost years of purpose. Because one woman's history can derail an entire man's destiny. By now you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Her past matters. The baggage is real. But why do so many men ignore the signs? The answer is brutal. Because men are wired to hope. Hope blinds us. Guilt silences us. And shame keeps us locked in destructive cycles. Every man believes deep down that he can be the exception. She's never had a man like me. She's different now. She was wild in her past, but with me, she'll settle down. It's a comforting fantasy, but it's just that, a fantasy. Because her patterns didn't vanish when she met you. They're carved into her psychology. Men cling to hope because we're builders. We're trained to see potential and invest. But women aren't blueprints you can redesign. They're humans shaped by their experiences. And the man who ignores this ends up constructing his castle on sinking sand. The moment you question her past, the guilt trip begins. Why are you so insecure? Real men don't care about that. If you loved me, you wouldn't judge me. You're shamed for noticing patterns that could destroy you. You're told to feel guilty for protecting yourself. And men cave. Because we've been trained to avoid conflict, to appease, to prove we're not toxic. But guilt is the leash that keeps men quiet while they march into the slaughterhouse. Here's the killer: shame. If you walk away from a woman with too much baggage, you're branded judgmental. If you demand higher standards, you're labeled controlling. If you want purity, you're called outdated. So men silence themselves, they swallow discomfort, they ignore the red flags, and that shame festers. Until one day, they wake up broke, bitter and broken, wondering how they didn't see it coming. Look at the headlines: billionaires, athletes, actors, men with everything, undone by ignoring the warning signs. Jeff Bezos lost $38 billion in his divorce. Dr. Dre, nearly $500 million. Johnny Depp, years of reputation shredded in public courts. Do you think these men didn't see red flags? Of course they did. But hope, guilt and shame blinded them. And the cost was catastrophic. This is the trap. Men believe love conquers all, that patience, provision and protection will overwrite her past. But you can't outlove trauma. You can't out-provide instability. You can't out-hope reality. And the longer you pretend otherwise, the steeper the price you'll pay. By now, the pattern should be undeniable. Her past isn't erased. It isn't irrelevant. It isn't some closed chapter you can ignore. Her past is a preview of your future. If she's walked away from men before, chances are she'll walk away again. If she's built her 20s on chaos, hookups, and thrill-seeking, don't be surprised when she finds your stability boring. If she's trained her brain to chase novelty, don't expect her to suddenly cherish permanence. You're not her reset button. You're her next experiment. It's tempting to believe you're different, that you'll be the one she finally settles for, that your love, your effort, your sacrifice will change her. But history doesn't lie. Psychology doesn't lie. Biology doesn't lie. If her track record shows broken bonds, toxic cycles, and a trail of exes, why would you gamble your entire future on being the magical exception? Hope is not a strategy. Denial is not protection. And ignoring reality is the most expensive decision a man can ever make. So what do? First, choose wisely. Stop letting society guilt you for having standards. You're not insecure for wanting purity. You're not controlling for demanding stability. You're not toxic for protecting your legacy. Second, walk with purpose. A man who has a mission doesn't get trapped by women who lost theirs. Build your body, build your mind, build your empire. Because when you're on a path of growth, you stop competing for her approval and start commanding respect. Third, refuse to carry what isn't yours. Her baggage isn't your responsibility. Her past isn't your job to fix. Her trauma isn't your cross to bear. Your role is not savior. Your role is builder, protector, leader. And sometimes the strongest move is to walk away before the damage becomes permanent. A woman's past may ruin your future, but only if you ignore it. When you see clearly, you reclaim control. You stop investing in lost causes. You stop bleeding for ghosts. You stop letting her history write your destiny. That's not bitterness. That's wisdom. That's not hate. That's survival. And in a world that wants you blind, choosing truth is the most rebellious act a man can take. If this hits something deep, Like the video, share it with a brother who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel. We're building something bigger here, a movement of men who refuse to be lied to, who refuse to play blind, and who refuse to let their future be destroyed by someone else's past. Support the mission using the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, stay strong, stay awake, and I'll see you in the next one.